So in the previous video, that is the 80th video, where we covered 21 to 28 shlokas of chapter 13, Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yogam, Lord Krishna explained how the individual soul, that is the Purusha, expresses life through its association with Prakriti. Now, Prakriti has gunas and it also acts, it performs actions. Purusha, the individual soul, on the other hand, is a mere silent observer. The individual who understands the distinction between the two, that is the distinction between Purusha and Prakriti, and their interplay, is spiritually enlightened and he moves towards liberation. So now let us next understand what Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in the last 7 shlokas of chapter 13. So now let's move to 29th shloka. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavastitam ishwaram nahi nastyatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. He, because sarvatra samavastitam ishwaram samam pashyan. So samam pashyan is seeing equally. That is sarvatra samavastitam. One who sees ishwaram, the same God, samam ishwaram, one who sees the same God, sarvatra samavastitam. So one who sees the same God residing everywhere, atmanam atmana na hinasti. So that person who sees the same God residing everywhere, he does not degrade. Hinasti is degrade. So na hinasti, he does not degrade. Atmana, he does not degrade the self through atmanam, through the mind, through the mind. Tataha param gati yati. So that person, he reaches the supreme goal. So one who perceives the same supreme Lord dwelling equally in all living beings does not degrade the self through the mind. So by recognizing the divine presence in all, a person naturally moves away from hatred, competition and the ego-driven conflict. So this vision of equality serves as a spiritual guidance towards the supreme destination. So as we see self in every being, we are more compassionate, impartial in judgment, and also we are more aligned with the truth. So this awareness removes all illusions. Prakrityaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah yah pashyati tatatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. Cha yah karmani sarvashah prakritya eva kriyamanani. So yaha, that person, karmani sarvashah, all actions, prakritya eva kriyamanani. So that person who perceives this way, that all actions are performed only by prakritya eva, only by prakriti, that is the material energy alone, is responsible for performance of all actions. Tata atmanam akartaram pashyati. The same person also perceives the atmanam, the atma, as a akartaram, as a non-doer. Saha pashyati. He truly sees. So a person who sees that all actions are performed entirely by the prakriti and the atma does nothing, he truly sees. So while the body, senses and mind are active, the eternal atma remains silent and totally unaffected. So the atma is just a mere silent witness of all the actions. So once a person realizes this, the heavy burden that I am the doer and the associated anxiety for the results reduces. Also the spiritual seeker now understands that body is just a machine given by nature to perform action, and that his true identity is the pure consciousness, which is the Atma. So this realization helps him to break the bonds of karma. Yata bhuta pritag bhavam ekastam anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. Yada bhuta pritag bhavam ekastam tat eva vistaram anupashyati. So anupashyati, yada anupashyati, when one perceives what? Bhuta pritag bhavam ekastam. So when one perceives the diversity of all life, tat eva vistaram anupashyati. So when one perceives the diversity of all life and Vistaram also and its expansion, Ekastam, rooted in one supreme Athma, Tada Brahmam Sampadyate. The very moment he attains Brahmam. So when a spiritual seeker realizes that the diverse variety of life, living beings and their expansion is rooted in one supreme reality, they attain the state of Brahman. So we see millions of different forms, that is plants, animals, humans and other beings. They all originate from the same singular source of energy and consciousness. Now, this understanding removes the illusion of separation and helps one to see the underlying unity. So, just as we see many waves, but we know that they are all made of the same ocean water. Likewise, even though we see many different forms of living beings, the moment we realize that they all come from the same supreme reality, then immediately a person gets liberated. Anaditvan nirgunatvat Paramathmayamavyayah Sharirastopi Kaunteya Nakaroti na lipyate. Kaunteya, O Kuntiputra Arjuna, Anaditvat Nirgunatvat Ayam Avyayah Paramathma. So this Paramathma, which is Anadi, which is beginningless, and Nirguna, which is without gunas or attributes, and Avyayah, it does not go through any change. Sharirastaha api na karoti na lipyate. So Sharirastaha api, even though it is Sharirastaha, it is dwelling in the body, in the Sharira. Karoti na, it does nothing. Na lipyate, and it is not tainted. So the Supreme Soul, the Paramatma, is beginningless and it is free from the gunas or the material qualities. So it remains unchanged even while dwelling within the physical body. So the Atma is not affected by actions, it does not perform any actions, and it is not affected by actions or transformations of the body. Because it is eternal and transcendental, it neither acts in the material sense nor does it get entangled in the results of action. So even though it dwells in the body, it is always pure. So if we understand this, we would remain steady and balanced amidst the various changes and transformations in our day-to-day lives. Yata sarvagatam saukshmyat akasham nopalipyate sarvatravastito dehe tatatmanopalipyate. Yata sarvagatam akasham saukshmyat na upalipyate. Upalipyate is tainted. So yata, just as sarvagatam akasham, the all-pervading akasha, akasha ether, is na upalipyate, it is not tainted. Saukshmyat, that is because of its subtlety, it is not, the all-pervading akasha is not tainted. Tata, likewise, sarvatra upastitaha atma na upalipyate. Likewise, the Atma that dwells in all living beings is not tainted. So earlier we saw that Atma is attributeless, it is without gunas, so it is not tainted by the actions of the body. So Lord Krishna provides a beautiful analogy stating that just as the all-pervading space, that is the Akasha, ether, is not tainted due to its subtlety, likewise the Atma is not tainted by the body. So space exists inside a pot and across the sky, yet it never mixes with the dirt or objects it contains. So the Atma also pervades the entire physical body, but remains independent of the body's diseases, its flaws or attributes. So this subtlety is what makes the Atma difficult to perceive, but also what makes it eternally free. Yata prakashayat yekaha kritsnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tata kritsnam prakashayati bharata. So Bharata, O Arjuna, yata ekaha ravihi kritsnam lokam prakashayati. Just as Ekaha Ravihi, just as the sun, Kritsnam Lokam Prakashayati, illuminates the entire universe, Tata, likewise, Kshetri, Kshetri the Athma, that is Kshetram Prakashayati. So, just as the sun illuminates the entire universe, likewise the Athma illumines the Kshetra, the field or the physical body. So, just as one single sun illumines the entire world, the knower of the field, that is the Kshetrajna, the Athma, illumines the entire body with consciousness. So, without this inner consciousness, without the presence of the Athma, the body would be mere dark, inert matter with no capacity for feeling or thought. So, the Atma's light or awareness reaches every cell and every cell in the body, providing the energy required for life to function. So, yet like sunlight that shines on a slushy, muddy pond without becoming muddy itself, Atma also remains pure, separate from the body's activities. So, we must remember that we are the light and we are the Atma and we are not the physical body. Kshetra kshetrajnayorevam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. Evam, likewise, ye kshetra kshetrajnayoho antaram. So, likewise, those who know the distinction between kshetra and kshetrajna, bhuta prakriti moksham cha, moksha is liberation. So, bhuta prakriti moksham, and they also understand the liberation of bhuta from prakriti, that is material energy. Prakriti is material energy. Jnana chakshusha viduhu te param yanti. So, those who understand the difference between kshetra and kshetrajna, and they also understand how the bhuta, how the living entity can be liberated from prakriti through jnana chakshusha, through the eye of wisdom. Viduhu, they know this through the eye of wisdom. Te param yanti, they reach the supreme. So, Krishna concludes this chapter 13, Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yogam, in this last 35th shloka, by stating that those who perceive the distinction between Kshetra and Kshetrajna with the eye of wisdom, that is Jnana Chakshu, they reach the supreme. Also, by understanding how the Atma can be liberated from the bondage of the material nature, they transcend the cycle of birth and death. So, this eye of wisdom, this Jnana Chakshu, is the ability to see beyond the physical appearance and recognize the Atma, that is the inner consciousness. So, those who master this vision, those who have this Jnana Chakshu, they are not caught in the Maya. They achieve union with the Lord. So, it's time to summarize. So, we have completed chapter 13, which gives the distinction of Kshetra and Kshetrajna and Prakriti and Purusha. So, in these concluding verses 29 to 35 that we covered in this 81st video, Lord Krishna describes the vision of the enlightened person who sees the same divine presence, that is, he sees the same Paramathma dwelling in all living beings. Further, Lord explains that he who understands that all actions are performed by Prakriti and the Purusha, the inner soul, is a non-doer, is freed from the burden of ego and doership. Lord Krishna uses two analogies, that is the analogy of space, Akasha, which is all pervading yet not tainted, and sun which illuminates the entire universe without becoming a part of it, to explain how the Atma remains pure even while dwelling inside the physical body. So, a spiritual seeker who has this Jnana Chakshu, he has this eye of wisdom to perceive things as explained above, is able to break the cycle of birth and rebirth. Thank you.